Okay, the issues of Aboriginal people that Aboriginal people are facing. First, we have the health system, which is very poorly made for them. Um, First, we have the little improvements brought by the Canadian government. Like the Canadian government has literally done nothing for them in all those years that they've been trying to get their help through a lot of organizations and marches done on the streets. Also, a lot of protestations and discussions with the Canadian government. There are higher rates of illnesses and earlier deaths. Chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart diseases are on the rise. And there's a big link between income, social factors, and health. But the Canadian government has done absolutely nothing to help them with that. Then there's the educational system. Um, from the 2016 Canadian census, 33.65% of people who identify as Aboriginal have no secondary, well, high school or equivalency certificate, compared to 18.3% of the rest of the Canadian population. That's a like 15% difference, which is completely massive. It's the double of non-Aboriginal people, and the Canadian government has once again not done anything to help them with that. Then there's the economical state of the situation. The average salary of an Aboriginal person is 75% of a non-Aboriginal person. So every time a non-Aboriginal person makes $1, an Aboriginal person only makes 75 cents. There's only a slight improvement since 2005, which was 72%. So it's only a 3% augmentation. Then the Canadian government isn't doing anything about it and just tries to keep like an overall good image about the situation by having a couple meetings and couple discussions with Aboriginal leaders to make them seem as if they like were comprehensive people and understanding about the situation they're facing, which is completely not true because they're not doing anything whatsoever to help them. The employment rate did not increase with the population, so the population continues to increase, yet the employment rate does not since 2006. In 2006, the justice system accounted for Aboriginal people accounted for over 26% of admission, while only representing 3% of the Canadian population. Indigenous adults account for 20% of admissions for custody, and this statistic is even more pronounced for women when they represent 38% of admissions, while only 3% of the population. The suicide rate is completely out of this world. A 2016 statistic Canadian reported. Wait, what? The issues Aboriginal people are facing. First, we have the health system, which is very poorly made for them. The little improvements brought over time by the Canadian governments are just not existent. The higher rates of illnesses and earlier deaths are very pronounced, and chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease are on the rise. There's a very big link between income, social factors, and health. The educational system. By the 2016 Canadian census, 33.65% of people who identify as Aboriginal have no secondary or high school equivalency certificate, compared to 18.3% of the rest of the Canadian population. Economical state of the situation. The average salary of an Aboriginal person is 75% of a non-Aboriginal person. So every time a non-Aboriginal makes $1, an Aboriginal person only makes 0.75. The slight improvement since 2005 is honestly frightening because it's an improvement of only 3% in over 15 years. The Canadian government isn't doing anything whatsoever about the situation. They're just having a couple meetings and conferences with the Aboriginal leaders to act as if they're comprehensive and understanding about the situation where they really aren't. The employment rate did not increase with the population, so even if the population did continue rising, the employment rate did not since 2006. The justice system accounted Aboriginal people are accounted for over 26% of admissions, while only representing 3% of the population. Indigenous adults account for 28% of admissions for custody. The statistic is even more pronounced for women when they represent 38% of admissions. The suicide rate is honestly very sad and frightening at this point. 2016 Statistics Canada report found that more than 1 in 5 officer First Nations, Metis, and Inuit adults reported having suicidal thoughts at some point in their lives. Suicide rates are 5 to 7 times higher for Indigenous people. A 2016 Statistics Canada report, once again,